stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline, fade away. Yeah, he's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead for the win. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedule to join us. We appreciate it. And we want to let you know that you can find us every Sunday morning here on our social media and also on the social media of the Heat Ratio Sports Network. Thank them for hosting us as well. Lots of big things happening with Sports Skillet and the Heat Ratio. We do a live show every Tuesday night over at the Steam Pub in PA. So you want to come on out and join us there as well. Lots of great shows on both outlets, both Sports Skillet and the Heat Ratio. So you want to check out the social media accounts on both of us. And also we want to encourage you to check out sportsskilletradio.com. We've got a lot of great articles from Mike Nebbia, and we have our Twitter account up and active. All great sports news. You never know what we'll be tweeting out. Head over to sportsskilletradio.com for all the latest show news, sports updates. Check out our Twitter feed as well. Lots of great things happening on both the Heat Ratio and Sports Skillet Radio. So check out both social media accounts. Lots of big things popping on both outlets. I am Jay, and I'm joined, as always, by Mike Nebbia, my brother Jeff Soner as well. We usually have the coach, Shane McGowan, join us, but he said that he's feeling a little under the weather this week, so we're giving him the week off. He's getting ready for the Super Bowl next week, so he'll be back with us next week. So hopefully Shane gets some orange juice in him, get some rest, gets revitalized, and will be back with us again next week. So check out Shane McGowan with us again next week. But we've got a great show lined up for you. Lots of things to dive into, lots of things to sink our teeth into this week. Jeff, a big bombshell dropped this week in the NFL with Brian Flores suing a couple of teams and the NFL over the lack of minority hirings in the NFL, trying to get more African-American GMs, head coaches hired by teams, sued the New York Giants, Denver Broncos were in there as well, made a lot of claims. What did you think about this lawsuit filed by Brian Flores?
What did I think of the lawsuit?
Yeah.
Well, one, this is going to torpedo his entire career. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Two, I do like that he's standing up for minorities in the NFL in terms of head coaching positions, but he's going about it all wrong. He's going to turn to the Colin Kaepernick of head coaches. No one's going to want to take a look at him, and he was a finalist for a few head coaching positions, especially the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. So this may torpedo his career for a while. He may have to start back from scratch, go into the college ranks for a while, and just lay low until all this heat dies down.
It's true. What did you think, Jeff? You think he has a chance of getting another head coaching job? Uh-oh, I think Jeff is having some problems with his computer. Jeff, can you hear me?
Jeff's frozen.
Uh-oh, Jeff is frozen there. Jeff may have to log back in there. Jeff, are you there? Having some technical issues with Jeff. Let me see if I can re-add him to the stream here. See if that'll. We're having a little technical issues at the start of the show here. Jeff, are you there?
Oh no, here we go again.
Yeah. Having some technical issues with Jeff. Jeff, are you there? Jeff is frozen.
Again.
Jeff will maybe have to re-log in there. But yeah, I know I agree. I mean, I firmly stand beside Brian Flores. I think he's doing something that's admirable. Not a lot of coaches will do that. Let's see if we can re-add Jeff to the stream. I think he's going to re-log in there. But I stand with Brian Flores. I think he's doing an admirable thing. I think we got Jeff. Jeff, are you there?
I am here.
All right. So, Jeff, we were talking about Brian Flores' lawsuit against a couple teams in the NFL.
Yeah, Belichick should watch who he tweets, in the future. Really, because coach, a different coach, and he ended up texting Brian Flores with a congratulations, because he was obviously friends with both the current Giants head coach and Brian Flores, and he ended up sending a text to the wrong guy, and to Brian
Sent the text
Flores.
to the Ryan.
Now that's going to be used. Now that's going to be used again. Now that's going to be used, in the suit. So, that's something that's going to be interesting. And again, it's about the Rooney Rule. I mean, that's what it comes back to, and the fact that the Rooney Rule is really a sham. It hasn't worked. Because you can just say that because there's only one black head coach in the NFL, and that's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin. So that's it. So and so the Rooney Rule has been a complete disaster. It needs to be reworked, and because it's basically okay. You're just bringing in a black candidate to do it. Now, you got people like Deuce Staley who have been interviewed who say, okay, I don't mind it. It's nice. It's an honor to be interviewed and so forth. But I still think that it doesn't help these gentlemen just to come in for a token interview just so ownership can meet a Rooney Rule. I just don't think that works for them.
No, I agree with you. I do think that the Rooney Rule has served a purpose, though. I do think it's worked to get some minority candidates in front of GMs and owners that they otherwise would not have been in front of. But I do believe that you are correct, and that Brian Flores is correct in that it's served. That right now the Rooney Rule is just serving to be a box that owners and GMs kind of check off. They bring in the minority candidate, and that's what the whole lawsuit is about. Is Brian Flores is basically saying that we're just these minority candidates that ownership and GMs are bringing in are just to check off a box and are not being thoroughly looked at as a viable candidate for the open position that these teams have. And he wants to incentivize the hiring of minority candidates, be it with draft picks, be it with other compensation that teams may be able to get in terms of hiring these minority candidates. I think that would be a good thing, because obviously something is wrong with the NFL where you have 32 teams and you have only
one black coach, and that is Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I've got a way to reform the Rooney Rule.
Go for it,
Make
Mike.
the Rooney Rule where you have to hire at least one minority coach. Doesn't have to be a head coach. It can be a coordinator. It can be a positional coach, but you have to hire at least one minority coach. And
see, but Mike, that's the problem. They already do that. See, the object is for these guys to become head coaches and GMs. That's where the fault is, because you look at how many
and compensation would be like a third or a fourth round pick from the team you hire them from.
You got to get like a higher pick to the team that's like not the team they're hiring from, the team that's doing the hiring. and it's got to be a head coach because they have the minority. You look around the league. Yes, there's
I'm still working on the reform.
Yeah. I mean, you look around the league, there are minority offensive coordinators, minority defensive coordinators. That's not the issue. The issue is getting them into positions of authority, head coaching, GMs, and above that, presidents, things like that. Then you get the minority head coaches. That's where the fault is not the coordinator, because there's minority candidates. Jeff brought him up, Deuce Staley. He's been with the Philadelphia Eagles as like an assistant head coach, and he's currently with the Detroit Lions. I mean, you look around the league, there are offensive coordinators who are men of color and minority candidates. The object is to get these guys as head coaches.
To get them to the highest coaching position.
Yep.
To get them head coaches. The Rooney Rule is not doing that.
No, it's getting them interviews, but
interviews, yes, but not head coaching positions.
Exactly.
Rooney Rule has to get them to the head of the line.
The only reason you're getting interviews for a lot of these teams.
Jeff, you're frozen.
Uh-oh.
If you look at the Giants and you look at a lot of these teams, you say they're getting interviews. Well, the only reason they're getting interviews is because of the Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
And that rule needs to be reformed somehow.
The reason they're being interviewed, or else they wouldn't do it in the first place. That's why I have this suit going on right now in the NFL with Brian Flores, because he's saying, you know, what a joke it is, because I was never going to be hired in the first place.
Let's see if we can get. Hey Jeff, can you log out and log back in again?
Hello?
Are you there? Yeah, you're kind of breaking up again. Can you repeat what you just said?
What I just said was, you know, the Rooney Rule they're getting the interviews because of the Rooney Rule. I mean, that's why they're getting the interviews. But the ownership has no intention of hiring them. I mean, that's the thing. All these teams are just giving them these token interviews to satisfy the rule. And if that's why they're doing it, these coaches feel, you know, just like, okay, I'm just being brought in just to satisfy a dumb rule, instead of actually being qualified for the position, which is what Brian Flores has a problem with.
Yeah, and that's why I applaud him for setting aside his coaching, maybe setting aside his coaching career to file this lawsuit. You know, I don't know how far it's going to go or what he can or cannot prove. That's going to be shown over time. But I applaud him for taking a stand and standing up against the NFL and filing this lawsuit. And it's a class action lawsuit, so you could have other coaches do have the opportunity to stand with Brian Flores if they so choose, because it's not Brian Flores.
It's not just Flores. It could we could end up seeing Deuce Staley jump into the fray.
Yeah,
because he was passed over for the Philadelphia Eagles coaching position a season or two ago.
Twice he was passed over for it. Actually.
And he was with the Philadelphia Eagles for most of his playing career. So you think that would give him an advantage.
Yeah, and he was coaching with them. So you would. Absolutely.
That's another advantage.
Yep, absolutely. So, Jeff, I'll ask you, do you think Brian Flores coaches again in the NFL, or do you think this will be the death knell for him?
Well, you know, it's a matter of whether a team wants to hire him down the road. I mean, there's only a couple of openings left right now for this cycle. I think 3 openings remain. So, you know, at this point, I just don't, I don't know if there's a fit for him in this cycle. So you would have to wait for the next cycle down the road, and you'd have to see where the suit goes, you know, at that point, you know, and follow the suit. Depending on what happens, you know, he may be vindicated at that point, you know, if something were to change. He's a very valuable coach. I mean, his experience and his work with the Dolphins and so forth were very good. So I don't see a reason why he couldn't be hired down the road if things work out. But I don't know if there's a fit for him in New Orleans or with the Texans. So it's something we're just going to have to watch down the road.
Yeah, Brian Flores is a good head coach. He got the Dolphins to back-to-back winning seasons, despite the ownership wanting him to tank to get a good draft position. He said, "Nah, fam, I'm not tanking. I'm bringing this team winning seasons." And I think he gets another coaching job in the NFL. I think he gets another head coaching job in the NFL. Not this cycle. Might not be next head coaching cycle either. I think he drops back to college while this lawsuit plays out, and he'll likely get vindicated at some point. Once that happens, I think he gets another head coaching job somewhere down the road. Maybe in 2024 or 25. But I think he'll drop back to college for this season, for this upcoming season and next season.
He very well could. I could definitely see that. I like Jeff said, there's only a couple.
Drop back to college, lay low for a while.
Yeah. Once this lawsuit gets adjudicated, we'll see what happens with Brian Flores. But I do commend him for standing up and trying to revamp this Rooney Rule, add a little bit more to it, maybe a little bit more punch to it, a little bit more bite to it, so that minority candidates do get hired as head coaches in the NFL.
Yeah.
I
honestly do not see him at a Power 5 conference this upcoming college football season.
No, I mean, all the coaches have been basically hired in college. So, I mean, the college coaching cycle is over at this point. So, he's not going to get hired as a college coach in this cycle. So, if he doesn't get hired by one of the remaining teams that have an opening, then he'll have to sit out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe do some TV. Who knows? But we did have another interesting development take place. We had Jeff, your 49ers old head coach, is staying at his college alma mater at Michigan, not jumping to the Vikings, not going to the NFL, though he did have an interview with the Minnesota Vikings, but he's opting to stay in the college rank, talking about Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, he decided, hey, the grass is greener staying in Michigan. He actually, it's basically, as he pointed out, as long as Michigan wants him, he'll be the head coach at this point. So, he's basically taken himself out of any discussion for NFL jobs. There are a couple of jobs he was rumored for, obviously, in Vegas and in Minnesota, but, they didn't work out, obviously. And, obviously for whatever reason, Minnesota, there wasn't a good match there up in Minnesota. So he just decided to stay in Michigan, which is not a bad deal for him, his family, and so forth. So, and again, I think a lot of people expected him to jump back to the NFL, but, he's going to remain a college coach, which probably – looking at the success of some of he's had success in the NFL, so obviously he could go back and have success in the NFL again. But at this point in his career and in his life, I think he's happy staying in Michigan. So,
yeah, from what I've read, the two sides had a disconnect. Harbaugh thought he pretty much had the job in the palm of his hand and was going to the interview as a mere formality. And the Vikings were looking at it as, no, we're bringing you in for a straight up interview. We haven't decided anything yet. We're still making our decision amongst all the candidates that we're bringing in. And that was a little bit of a disconnect between the two. And I guess maybe it came down to the balance of power in there, or how much effect he would have on the roster. Who knows? Some other things maybe. But apparently, from what I read, Harbaugh thought he had the job right in the palm of his hand, and I'm just going there, and they're going to announce me as head coach, and I'll be able to run the Vikings. And that wasn't the case at all. What did you think, Mike, of Harbaugh staying in Michigan?
Man, I had him as the front runner for the Minnesota Vikings job. It was just across Lake Michigan. He wouldn't have to travel far to go there.
Yeah.
But him staying at Michigan was something that took me by surprise. So
Yeah, I thought he would.
I did not have him going to Vegas. I'm sorry. I did not have him going to the Vegas Raiders.
I thought he might be a good candidate for Vegas because he likes to he's a coach that likes to be in control, and without a GM in place or whatever, I thought Vegas might be a good spot for him. And then when the Vikings job opened up and they were bringing him in, I thought the Vikings were going to uh, anoint him as head coach. Because you don't bring in a guy of Harbaugh's status and his history unless you're really seriously considering him as your head coach, and you're almost basically going to just talk to him, and you basically made up your mind that you're going to anoint him as your head coach. I kind of fall into Harbaugh's camp there, but they were keeping an open mind. And when Harbaugh found out about this, he's like, okay, I've got a good, and like Jeff said, he's got a good gig right now going in Michigan. He's in control of the program there. He's turned it around, I would say, Jeff. He made Michigan a good college. I don't know if he can compete for the top honors and, win the college football championship, but he certainly turned Michigan around since the time he got there. So he has a good situation going in Michigan currently. So, we lost Jeff again. But yeah, he has a good thing going in Michigan. So I thought he would make the jump. And you look at the fact of everything that's going on with college football and the fact that coaches can leave now, the fact that players can leave and go into the transfer portal. You've got name, image, likeness going on with the college kids as well. It's basically a free-for-all in college. There's no guide rails to a lot of the things going on in college. You could have a quarterback one week and he could transfer the very next week if he so chooses. So there's a lot of anarchy, I think, going on within college football right now without any guide rails on it. Whereas in the NFL, at least you have guide rails, you have contracts that, coaches and players have to live up to. So there's a little more guidance and you have a little more control over players on your team and so forth. So I think that kind of appealed to Harbaugh. But like I said, he's got a good contract going on with Michigan. Michigan likes him. He likes Michigan. So, I think going back to Michigan is not the worst thing for Harbaugh. And he said he's not going to and Harbaugh said it's not going to be an every year situation where he's going to go for an NFL job. But I don't know if he can definitely say that or not, because if the right situation opens up for Harbaugh, I could see him exploring another head coaching job in the NFL if he starts pulling his hair out of his head with everything that's going on within college football and the fact that there's no guide rails with anything going on. Like I said, players, coaches can transfer whenever they want to, leave a program whenever they want to. You got name, image, likeness going on there as well, So there's a lot of anarchy going on within college football currently. So something to definitely keep an eye on. And we lost Jeff again. Jeff just keeps coming and going this week. But another thing that we had going on, Mike, is Doug Pederson becomes the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They announced Doug Pederson, and we'll bring Jeff back. Welcome back, Jeff. I was just bringing up the fact that Doug Pederson has become the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, congratulations to Doug. This is a good opportunity for him. He gets to work with a good quarterback, and it's a good organization. So we'll see what happens with Doug.
I think it's a very good. Again, you can say that going back to our first discussion, yes, not a minority candidate, but I think Doug Pederson will be a good fit for Jacksonville. you look at his reputation as a head coach. He came up under the Andy Reid coaching tree, so he's familiar with that. He won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, their only Super Bowl, Jeff. I think it's a good hire for Jacksonville.
Well, yeah, it's a good hire. I mean, they're hiring a Super Bowl winning coach, but Doug Peterson does have his warts. I mean, let's be honest. How is he, going to work with the quarterbacks? How much power is he going to want in the organization? I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to be worked out with Doug Peterson over the next few years. So we'll just have to see how things work out in Jacksonville. But that's an organization that needs a lot of work. I mean, Urban Meyer left that organization in taters. So there's a lot of cleanup for him.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. Interesting thing, though, is that he's going to be going up against Carson Wentz and Frank Reich twice a year now. He will also be coming into the link for the 2022 football season. So he will make his return as a head coach with the Jaguars to the link. Mike, what did you think of this hire by the Jaguars?
It's a good hire by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought Urban Meyer was a good hire, but he did not pan out as well as I had hoped. I think Doug Peterson will be able to develop Trevor Lawrence into an NFL caliber quarterback and get the Jacksonville Jaguars out of their current situation. The organization's in tatters right now. They haven't had a winning season in quite a long time, and they need a good, solid head coach. Doug Peterson is that solid head coach.
I believe you're right, because one of the things about Doug Peterson, people forget this, is that in the beginning of Carson Wentz's career, Carson Wentz was dueling Tom Brady for the MVP before Carson Wentz tore his ACL diving into the end zone. But Carson Wentz was right up there and was considered to be NFL MVP, was having an MVP type season before that unfortunate injury. So he is, I think, a good head coach, notwithstanding his last season in Philadelphia, which was an absolute train wreck, as it turned out. But outside of that, he did lead the Eagles to the Super Bowl and won it against Tom Brady with a backup quarterback. So taking both those things into account, Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be, one of, if not the best quarterbacks coming out of college in recent years. So he's coming in with a quarterback that should be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, last season with the Jaguars was an absolute train wreck of a season. And like you said, Mike, I don't think Trevor Lawrence got the coaching and the guidance that he needed. And I think Peterson will provide that guidance for Trevor Lawrence. Do you agree, Jeff?
Well, we'll see. I think, there's a lot to be worked out between Doug Peterson and again, I think, he works out better with the backup quarterbacks. I mean, how long before how long before he trades for Nick Foles out of the Bears? You're just waiting for that. They wait for that to happen because it just seems like he does better with the backup quarterbacks. But, he has potentially a very good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So we're going to see, how the chemistry works there and whether they can build up an offense around Trevor Lawrence. That's going to be the key.
Yep, it will be.
For them. Also, the fact that they're in a division with the Titans. So that's
we're kind of losing you again, Jeff. We're kind of losing you again.
To see,
you're cutting in and out.
To see how that.
Yep. You're cutting out again, Jeff.
Plays as far as trying to compete for a division.
Yeah. We're kind of losing you again, Jeff. But I do agree, and it'll be interesting to see who Doug Peterson actually brings in for his coaching staff. Because that was say that
Okay,
again, Jeff.
I'm here. Here. So yeah, I'm
Oh, there
here.
you go. Okay, there you go. You were kind of cutting out there. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see who Doug Peterson hires for his coaching staff, too. That was one of the key issues with the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe one of the reasons why people speculating he got terminated is he wanted more control over his coaching staff. So we'll see who he brings in as his defensive coordinator. There's currently a bunch of very good defensive coordinators on the open market. So I think that'll be interesting to watch going forward as well, to see who Doug Peterson brings in for his coaching staff. Speaking of which, Mike, the New York Giants lost their defensive coordinator this week too, to the Las Vegas Raiders. So the New York Giants are going to have to hire a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, they're going to have to fill that gap pretty quickly. Hopefully, the front office will find someone to get this defense back on track. It hasn't been the same since that Super Bowl 46 title. I just want to be happy to be a Giants fan again. Please, someone fix the coaching staff, fix the defense.
Well, I think the Giants are getting there. I like what they've managed to do so far. I think Brian Daboll may turn out to be a decent head coach. Certainly, he's in lockstep with the new GM Joe Shine as as a Giants general manager. They also pilfered front office personnel from the Philadelphia Eagles as well to help them out. So I think the Giants are trending in a positive direction. But now, like I said, they lost their defensive coordinator. So they've got to work on replacing him. But like I said, there's a bunch of very good defensive coordinators on the open market. So I think that's a position where you can go out and you can replace someone with a quality person.
Yeah, there's plenty of good defensive coordinators out on the open market right now. And the Giants are in a position where they can quickly replace who they lost with another good defensive coordinator that can fix the shoddy Giants defense and whip them into shape.
Yeah, and
Get them back to 2012.
Yeah, I think a name to kind of keep an eye on might be Wink Martindale, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens. I think that would be a good defensive coordinator for the Giants to go out and bring in and to at least talk to. And it looks like they're seeking permission to interview Pittsburgh Steelers defensive back coach Terrell Austin. That would be an interesting thing. Mike Garafolo tweeted out the Giants conducted a virtual interview with Titans assistant and three-time defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, formerly the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. So that would be interesting.
That would be the ultimate betrayal for Eagles fans.
I would not say so because Schwartz and the Eagles faithful were, you had a very vocal segment of the Eagles fan base that did not like Jim Schwartz, actually. So for the Eagles fan base, it would be interesting to see what Schwartz would do for the Giants should he be offered the defensive coordinator job. But I would not say it would be a betrayal because the Eagles and Schwartz parted ways. They decided to go their separate ways when the Eagles, before the Eagles got rid of Doug Pederson. So a betrayal means that there's some animosity there or whatever, but there's no animosity between Schwartz and the Eagles, especially with Schwartz and the Eagles fan base, because like I say, there was a vocal contingency of the Eagles fan base that did not like Schwartz as the defensive coordinator. They thought the Eagles defense could have been doing a better job, just like right now there's a vocal fan base that does not like the current Eagles defensive coordinator. So, I guess that's par for the job being the Eagles defensive coordinator. But, it would be interesting to see Jim Schwartz go up against the Philadelphia Eagles twice a year and see what he could do for the Giants defense. See if he could improve them. So that would be an interesting. Vic Fangio is another one. Just looking over things, Vic Fangio is another one. Former head coach of the Denver Broncos. Fangio is a solid defensive coordinator. May not be maybe the best head coach, but he would make an interesting defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Any of those names ring? Would you like to see, Mike?
Wink Martindale. I hear Wink Martindale and I immediately think the game show legend who hosted Tic Tac Toe and High Rollers.
Yeah.
Because that's me. I'm the retro game show buff. Jim Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator. I would think Vic Fangio would be in contention here, but I gotta give it to the experienced Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, and Jim Schwartz, also a former head coach. When you bring in a person who hasn't been a head coach like Brian Daboll, sometimes it's good to bring in somebody with experience as a head coach so that new head coach can kind of lean on him a little bit. Jeff, any of those names ring a bell with you that you might want to see as defensive coordinator for the Giants?
We lost him.
Jeff, I think we lost you again.
I don't think it matters. The Giants suck. Period.
Well,
no,
yeah.
I'm here. I got you guys. The Giants suck. Period.
Okay. But they got to start rebuilding, and maybe, you rebuild with a solid defensive coordinator. It's not going to be a one-year turnaround. I'll give you that. But, you need a good defensive coordinator. So maybe you bring in a Schwartz or a Fangio or a Martindale to improve your defense.
It only matters, Jay. It only matters if you have talent on the field. You have not to coach. And right now, that team's a mess.
I don't think it's in my. I think on the player side, I'll grant you that it probably is. But I think they may have turned things around with the coaching staff. I think they're. You got the head coach and the GM in lockstep with each other, so that has to count for something. That has to help turn the Giants around, right? Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it should, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's all speculation at this point as to what they're going to do. So.
Okay. Speaking of speculation, I don't want to get into predictions just yet, but next week we have the Super Bowl coming up. Next week is Super Bowl Sunday. Mike, your thoughts about Cincinnati getting into the Super Bowl?
No one expected it. Not even Vegas expected it. Vegas lost a lot of money betting against the Bengals, and they're probably going to bet against the Bengals again, but this time they're going to make money betting against the Bengals. The defensive front for the Rams is going to eat Joe Burrow alive.
Jeff, what are your thoughts about the Bengals getting into the Super Bowl?
Oh, no. Don't tell me we lost him.
Well, I think increase a lot of rating. I don't think, Rams move the needle very much in the game, but you have this storyline of two quarterbacks. One quarterback that's been searching for Super Bowl title for many years in Stafford versus a quarterback that it's an upcoming star in the league, and Joe Burrow.
Oh no!
So,
Jeff, you're cutting in and out again.
You have that's
Yeah. Hey.
Going on in the
Hey, Jeff, can you log back out and log back in again? Let me see if I.
As Mike.
Let me. We're having some difficulty with Jeff again. Jeff, can you log back? Jeff, can you log back in? Can you log out and log back in again? We haven't. Uh-oh. Jeff, can you log back in again? See if we can. We've been having some audio difficulties with Jeff. Jeff, can you log back in again? There we go. Gonna try and resolve some audio issues with Jeff, but because I want to hear Jeff's point. Jeff, I think, was making some good points about the Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams. I'm just wondering how big of a Super Bowl this is going to be as well, because you have teams that haven't been, it's been a while, decades since we've seen Cincinnati in the Super Bowl, and now they are back in there, and I think it's a good thing for the NFL for Cincinnati to get in there. They're certainly going to be an underdog team, Mike. Getting into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they are an underdog team. Last I checked, they are a 2-score underdog.
Yeah. And that's going to make things, I think, interesting with this year's Super Bowl, because certainly Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have that intangible, intangible kind of hookup, between the quarterback and the wide receiver. They have this intangible thing going, and I think that's going to make things really interesting to see if they can keep up with the Rams offense, because the Rams are locked and loaded and have put everything into not only getting to, but probably winning the Super Bowl, at least getting to, if not winning the Super Bowl this year. They gave away draft picks. They traded away players. And so far,
the next first-round pick isn't for another 2 years.
Yeah. So far it's worked out. You can't argue. It's worked out for them. They've done things slightly different than the normal NFL team, and we'll see if we can bring Jeff back. Hey, Jeff, glad to have you back.
Yeah, great to be back.
Okay, so can you repeat what you said about the preview of the Super Bowl?
Basically, the Rams, the Rams are going to the game is going to come down to whether Joe Burrow can handle the defensive line of the Rams. He's met the challenge so far in the playoffs, so we'll see what happens in the Super Bowl. I expect a close game.
I would expect a close game too. A lot of people, I think the odds makers, may be anticipating a blowout, though. Seeing how good the Rams' defensive line is and the problems along the Bengals' offensive line, I think so far, Vegas is anticipating maybe a little bit of a blowout. What do you think, Mike?
No.
No?
No, I don't see a blowout. I don't see a blowout. I mean, they're under. Then they're overvaluing the Rams. I mean, I mean, the 49ers were a joke on offense. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we can get into that game, but
Yeah.
I mean, they were a complete joke on offense. So because the Rams looked a whole lot better than they showed up a lot better because the 49ers simply didn't have a quarterback. So because of that, the Rams were able to look a lot better than they actually were. The 49ers should be in the Super Bowl, but they're not because they didn't have good quarterback play.
So do you think the 49ers move on from Jimmy G?
Absolutely, yes, without question. I don't think there's any question at all.
Now, what would you be if what would you anticipate the 49ers could get for Jimmy G? Because
if they get a 4th-round pick, I'd be satisfied.
A 3rd or a 4th for Jimmy Garoppolo.
3rd or a 4th, yeah.
You don't think anything higher? I mean, could you look at?
He's a game manager. He's a game manager. He's not a quarterback. I mean, he's a backup quarterback. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, he showed his skills. He's a backup quarterback, and he's injury prone. He's a backup quarterback. He's injury prone. He's a game manager. So if you put all those factors together, I mean, I just don't think there's a whole lot of value in Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. The book is out on him. All you have to do is stack the box and stop the running game of any team he's on and force Jimmy Garoppolo to pass the ball, and you see the results.
Yes.
And the results are interceptions.
Right.
Now my only counter argument with that is you look at the quarterbacks that are going to hit the free agent market, and you look at the quarterbacks that may be in this year and the upcoming draft, and they're not the greatest. So my point is, because there's not a great free agent crop of quarterbacks, be it in the draft or free agency, could Garoppolo's value get elevated a little bit from
could he be overvalued? Absolutely. I think that's a good possibility that somebody's going to pay more because of the scarcity of that about the position. But
because they're low quality of free agent quarterbacks and in the draft.
That's on them. Doing that at this point because the book is out as far as Garoppolo goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, I posted it on my Facebook page, and the fact that if you look at all the playoff games taken into account, he was dead last in the quarterback efficiency QBR, dead last with So this is a guy who's had all kinds of problems in the place. Yes, he's won games, but it's sort of like the 49ers won in spite of Garoppolo, not because of him.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, I think he may get elevated just a little bit. I think maybe the 49ers might be able to pull a 2nd-round pick out of Garoppolo just because of the dearth of quarterbacks coming out of college and on the free agent market. He may, a team may convince themselves, may look at Garoppolo's record and kind of talk themselves into, well, if I have a good head coach, that maybe we can win with Jimmy G, and talk themselves into maybe giving up a 2nd-round pick. I don't think you're going to get a 1st-rounder, but I do think maybe if you get a team or two bidding on Jimmy G, maybe the 49ers can pull a 2nd-round pick out of or maybe a 3rd-rounder and a player to help bolster the 49ers. But I do think that they could. I do agree with you, Jeff. I do think the 49ers will be moving on from Jimmy G this offseason. And you can kind of tell in his press conference that he had that he anticipates the 49ers moving on from him as well. Another interesting little, on social media this week, I had Aaron Rodgers possibly going to the Tennessee Titans. Do you see that at all? Mike, Jeff, do you see Aaron Rodgers ending up as a Titan?
No. I think they're coming. I think Tannehill's their guy.
I don't see him going to Tennessee.
No, and all this kind of came out of the fact that, apparently Tennessee might want to move on from Tannehill, and the fact that Aaron Rodgers may be building a house or whatever in the Tennessee area. I don't see Aaron Rodgers. I don't see Aaron Rodgers going to Tennessee at all. I agree with you guys. It would be interesting if he did. I think Tennessee has a pretty good team around the quarterback position, so I think it would be interesting. But I don't see Aaron Rodgers going to the Tennessee Titans at all. Maybe he leaves Green Bay, but I even think that's doubtful because he would have a tougher road to hoe in the AFC getting to the Super Bowl. I think it's much easier now for him to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC when you look at the teams and the quarterbacks in the NFC. Much easier to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC than it would be over in the AFC. Even if he went to Denver, that would be really tough for him to get to the Super Bowl.
It's not impossible.
Yeah. I wouldn't say impossible, but it would be very tough when you look at the quarterback.
Yeah, you got to go through Mahomes. You got to go through Josh Allen. Now you got to go through Mac Jones.
I'm lukewarm about the Patriots. I'm not sold on Mac Jones as a starting quarterback just yet. I have to see a little bit more. And again, like I said, you have tiers, and I'm not going to put Mac Jones in the Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to put the Patriots up there with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs and some of the other teams, the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not going to put the Patriots up there. I'm just not. Yeah, Mac Jones and Belichick together, and that union has to show me more than what they've shown me so far. Do you agree, Jeff? Jeff?
We lost him.
Oh.
Not again.
Uh-oh.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Matt Jones is a decent quarterback. I don't know what he has or what he's not at this point. I mean, he had one playoff game.
Having a little trouble with Jeff's computer this week. See if we can get Jeff up to speed here. Uh-oh. Let me see if I can we're having we lost Jeff again. Hopefully Jeff will log back in. I would really love to hear his comments on that. But yeah, I don't see to me, I still don't see Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay. I think if he takes a step back and actually looks at things, I think Green Bay is the best place for him. He may want to try a new team. He may want to see what his luck is like on another team. But I just don't think in his career, he wants to get to it. I think he needs to get to another Super Bowl in light of the fact that he's only gotten to a Super Bowl before and won before. And he needs to get, I think, one more Super Bowl under his belt. And he's gotten to all these championship games, and he's gotten his team, he does great in the regular season. And then the playoffs hit and he comes up short. So I think he needs to at least get to another Super Bowl to cement his Hall of Fame resume. And the fact that he keeps coming up short in the playoffs after, getting home field advantage. I mean, getting home field advantage and Lambeau Field is a huge deal. And right now, he hasn't been able to take advantage of that home field advantage, getting home field throughout the regular season. He just keeps coming up short. And I can't look at the coach, and I can't really blame the coach too much, because I think he has a good head coach. You don't get that type of record in the regular season without being a quality head coach. But geez, oh man, Aaron Rodgers, I think, needs to get to another Super Bowl, and going over to the AFC, be it with the Titans, which I don't see, or the Broncos, or maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers, any team like that. And the Pittsburgh Steelers that would be an interesting situation for him as well. But, you're also giving up money, and you're giving up draft picks or personnel in order to acquire Rodgers, and that could set the team back. So in a very competitive AFC, I think his path is much cleaner and a lot easier staying on the Green Bay Packers in the NFC. I think that's where his path needs to be at this point. So, Mike, as we kind of round down the show a little bit, any NASCAR updates for us?
Yeah, it's the Clash at the Coliseum, the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum from Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum today. We got the heat races, the last chance qualifier, and the main event. Now, let me break down the Busch Light Clash for you guys, because it's miles different than what we've been used to. Now, 36 charter teams and up to 4 open teams participated in qualifying yesterday. Based on lap times, cars are put into one of 4 heat races, 25 laps each. Top 4 drivers in each heat will advance to the feature. All non-advancing drivers in the 25-lap heats are assigned to one of the 2 50-lap last chance qualifiers. Top 3 drivers in each of the last chance qualifiers will advance to the feature. Then it's the highest driver in 2021 Cup Series points not already qualified advancing to the feature. Then the main event, the Busch Light Clash, 23 drivers, 150 laps. So it's basically like a race at New Egypt Speedway or Wall Stadium or Brick Raceway. A race at your local short track. You got your A main, your B main, your heat races, your last chance qualifiers, then the main event, like the 100-lap feature.
Gotcha. And Mike, I saw this on TMZ. UFC Prez Dana White that he told TMZ Sports his whiskey brand sponsored his very own stock car, and is so confident in his vehicle he's prepared to bet between $10,000 and $25,000 it'll win its first ever NASCAR race. White said Howler Head Whiskey teamed up with Trackhouse Racing, a professional stock car auto racing team co-owned by Pitbull, to sponsor a car for this weekend's NASCAR race at the LA Memorial Coliseum. So Dana White's going to lay down anywhere between $10,000 to $25,000 on the car. But he wants to win, and Dana White told TMZ the car was brought to Las Vegas from Charlotte, and looks, looking on social media, it looks like a pretty nice painted car. So you got UFC now getting involved in NASCAR.
Yes, we've got all these unknowns getting into NASCAR. We're starting to see another boom period for the sport, much like the 90s and 2000s.
Yep,
but
definitely.
Back then, we were seeing new tracks in new markets like Las Vegas, like Fort Worth, Texas, Kansas City. They were all getting tracks. Now we're seeing, again, new tracks in new markets. There's Road America in the Milwaukee area. We're seeing a track at the LA Coliseum. Yep. We are seeing another new.
Yep.
When is the Cup Series?
New tracks all over the place. Yep.
And as these sanctioning contracts run out, we're going to be seeing a lot more new tracks. Like, for instance, Gateway Motorsports Park in the St. Louis area is hosting its first Cup race later this year.
Very cool. Jeff, anything that we
And
haven't gotten
possibly
in?
North Wilkesboro Speedway coming back in either 2023 or 2024.
There you go.
So a retro track potentially returning, as well as Nashville Fairgrounds returning that same season.
Very cool. So, Jeff, anything that we left off that you want to bring up?
Well, you've obviously got the NBA trade deadline coming up this week.
Yes, the trade deadline.
You have
will they move Ben Simmons or will they not move Ben Simmons? Who goes where?
Yes.
Where?
Well, we have heard a lot of Ben Simmons for Harden rumors. I don't know if that's going to go down at the trade deadline or that may happen.
Probably not.
I agree with you. I think
I would be shocked if the Nets move Harden for Ben Simmons.
I actually would. I actually would be. I actually think that they're going to do it because the Nets right now are a mess at this point. I mean, they've lost a lot of games recently. It's something that they've got to do. They've got to change up the chemistry on that team. So it does look like the Nets are in sell mode at this point. In terms of moving on from Harden at this point. So I would not be shocked at all if he were moved.
I would like to, I would like to see it because I think that gets the whole Ben Simmons fiasco off.
Now wait a minute. Whoa. What was it, a year or 2 years ago? You wanted nothing to do with the beard. Come on.
Well, no, that was because he was out of shape. He was holding out. He was out of shape. And a lot of people were in the same boat. If I saw a guy who wasn't playing, basically like Ben Simmons. He was not reporting to his team. He was holding out. He was out of shape, and I wasn't alone in saying that and having angst about the Sixers trading for Harden at that point, but he showed up to Brooklyn he got into shape and he's basically been a team player for the Brooklyn Nets throughout his tenure there. So so right now, yes, I would trade for Harden, and the Sixers look like they may be going on another playoff run this year. So you put Joel Embiid and Harden together, and Maxey on the same team. I think that would be a nice threesome right there. Maxey's shown improvement this year. I would not include Maxey in any deal. That's the other thing too that you got to look at. A lot of teams may be asking for Maxey in a deal. I would not include him if I was Daryl Morey. I would put Maxey on the no trade list. And
the fact of the matter, Jay, is you got to realize what you're giving up. I mean, you're giving up a guy who is an egotist to begin with, and so you got to realize, hey, if you can get rid of the guy who just doesn't want to, be a part of the Sixers, and has held out all year, and you can get a guy like Harden, that's a steal for the Sixers. So,
no doubt about it, and.
And Ben Simmons is not that good. I mean, we're seeing right now that Ben Simmons is not that good. Yeah, he's a pretty good defensive player, but he has a lot of mental issues. And then you put that together with the fact that to me, he can't shoot free throws. There's a lot of issues regarding this guy, and
basically it would be a smack of Simmons.
I would be hesitant to give up a guy like Harden for this problem. I really would.
Oh, I would. I definitely agree with you. I'm in lockstep with you. I think it would be a steal for the Sixers to get a player like Harden for Ben Simmons. I think it would be Ben Simmons plus. You'd have to go Ben Simmons plus, but I would not include Maxey in the deal. I would want to keep Maxey out of that.
Here, I would want to keep Maxey out of the deal, but the problem with Ben Simmons, other than his mental issues, Jeff pointed it out, he can't shoot free throws. That would lead to the Smack of Simmons strategy.
Oh, he can't shoot, period. That's the problem.
Yep.
That's the
Mike
whole.
Simmons' strategy is coming into play here. It's
Yeah.
like the Hack-a-Shaq or the Hack-a-Harden
Yeah, that's what happened in last year's playoffs.
or the Foul-a-Pow.
Yeah, that's what happened in last year's playoffs, and that's the whole genesis of this whole issue with Ben Simmons. Well, number one, I think he wants to play on the West Coast. I'll be honest with you.
It's
Number
2022 and we're still doing the Hack-a-Shaq.
Yeah. Well, when you have a guy that's unwilling and unable to shoot the ball, I don't know if he's unable to, but he's definitely unwilling to shoot the ball. That's what you do. You foul him. You get him to the foul line, or you make him shoot the ball. That's what you do with Ben Simmons. That's the whole genesis of this, is the fact that he's unwilling to shoot the ball. That's what cost the Sixers in last year's playoffs. That's what is the whole genesis of this.
That's what causes Hack-a-Shaqs.
Yep. And the other issue is
that's what I frown upon in the NBA, the Hack-a-Shaq.
I don't frown
But it's
on
all
it.
these teams. It comes down to it really.
I don't frown on it.
That's why the NBA instituted
really-
rule that in the last 2 minutes of each quarter, you can't hack a Shaq.
All these teams, all these teams, just overvaluing Ben Simmons.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think, but it's the right team. You got to find the right team and the right coach. And, there may be a coach out there and a GM that says, hey, if I bring Ben in, he'll play for me, he'll shoot for me. We can work with him, whatever. We'll make him content or whatever. And, and the thing is that Ben Simmons has a contract with the Sixers, and Daryl Morey is playing this. I think he's playing this exactly right. Yeah, like he finds Ben Simmons. You don't want to come to work. You want to play with us? All right, give up your salary, and we'll continue to fine you, and you won't get your salary, and and that'll be it. So I think Morey's playing. Maybe Morey's maybe asking a little bit much for Ben. That may be an issue as well. But I also think that on the Ben Simmons side, he's doing it exactly right. You don't want to play? All right, sit out. You won't get paid. We'll continue to fine you, and we'll recoup your money.
Exactly.
And Shaq even said on TNT this past week, criticized Ben Simmons, called him a little baby or whatever. And the two of them got into a little Twitter war. And I agree with Shaq. Ben Simmons, hey, Ben Simmons doesn't want to play for the Sixers, fine. But you know what? You're not getting paid. And you got a contract. So until your contract expires in a couple of years, you won't get paid. And it's only costing you your career. That's all it is. So, yeah, we got the trade deadline. So we got, and that'll be headlined with the Sixers and Ben Simmons. Do they move on from him? Do the Brooklyn Nets trade Harden? Something to keep an eye on as well. Anything else you got, Jeff? Or
Nope.
okay, Mike. Anything else you want to bring up while we're live here this week?
Nope, nothing here.
All right. So with that, we want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. We will have our big Super Bowl show next week as we prepare for the Super Bowl. So thanks again. Remember to head over to sportsskilletradio.com. We have great tweets, great information going up all the time. You never know what we'll tweet out. We talk about anything and everything, all the sports and whatnot. Lots of great Twitter videos as well. Check out Sports Skillet, great articles from Mike. Check out the Heat Ratio as well. We do a live show every Tuesday evening from the Steam Pub in Pennsylvania. A lot of good shows on the Heat Ratio as well. So check out the Heat Ratio, Sports Skillet Radio as well. And we will see you right back here again. And remember, like, follow, and share on both the accounts, Heat Ratio and Sports Skillet Radio as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we will see you back here again.
2 with the bases loaded and 1 out. Oh, it got deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here. Second deck walk-off home run. Grand slam, Braves homer. Here's Iverson, elude the defender, stays right with it. Allen wants to go, wants the baseline.